Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Are you trying to master the game of life without success? There are secrets and strategies to living your best life. We'll share some of them with you on today's show. Take advantage of this series to become an expert at relationships. All relationships. It's time to live the life that you deserve to live. Now, here's your host, Sandra Reish.
Hello there. Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, a show that helps you live your best life and reach for the stars. Don't forget, before we get into it, if you want to call into the show, the number is 1-866-472-5792. Today we actually have some prizes for if anyone wants to call in. We have, let's see here, I've got a pass to Spa Eastman in Montreal, if you're listening in Montreal, for 2-for-1 for the day. And I also have a certificate from the lovely Spa Maneri. So feel free to join us and call in. Now, normally on Thursdays on Straight Talk, we do stream our show. But as you know, once a month, it's Therapy Thursday. Now, on Therapy Thursdays, due to the raw nature of the show, and this one's going to be quite a raw show, we don't stream, but we will do a post-show debrief, in which you can find along with the show later today on Facebook page, our Facebook page, which is Straight Talk Sandra Reish. Before I get into it, I have to start by sharing with you that I have been traveling a lot as of late. In the last 2 weeks, I've been to Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, and Vancouver alone, speaking to nurses and professional caregivers about treating anxiety and depression, as well as the dangers of caretaking, compassion fatigue, secondary trauma, and more. Why do I mention this to you? I was blown away and deeply touched by the audiences I met, and I want to give a shout out to the nurses and the caregivers across Canada and the States. These incredible people work so hard every day to make all of our lives better. Imagine if you needed help, if you were in the hospital. We need to really, really take it in. The caregivers of the world give and give and give, and, you know, in talking to them, it was, you know, I really felt that they feel sometimes it's quite a thankless job. And I think that having the radio show allows me to speak to people, and I think we need to change it and let our caregivers around the world, be it someone in your house, be it at the hospital, be it the doctor's office, we need to say thank you and show appreciation. And I want to start by saying thank you so much for the incredible reception I got from the courageous people across Canada. I'm going off to Saskatoon and Regina in 2 weeks from now to continue on. And I'm finally getting to see my own country. I've been all over the world, and I have to say Canada is a vast and wonderful country. And for the Canadians listening, we're very lucky to be Canadians, although we know it's great to be in the States too, and across the world. We have many listeners with Straight Talk, but it's just interesting to see your own country. So I'm diverting a bit, but I just couldn't start the show without thanking everyone who participated in these workshops from the bottom of my heart. It meant the world to me. Now, today's show is on a very, very serious and interesting topic: the dance between victims and perpetrators, and how the dance can easily reverse. Victims become perpetrators, perpetrators become victims. Very dangerous and very worthy of serious consideration. Think about that for a moment. Victims think that there's perpetrators in the world. Can you imagine that a victim, if you're a victim, that you too could become a perpetrator? And it happens all the time. My guest today, first of all, very courageously is going to tell a story where something happened to him, where I asked him to come on the show, where he's been victimized in his life, in his childhood, by bullying. And he found himself in a situation recently where he became the bully. And we had a fascinating talk about it. And as always, he's so courageous and is willing to come talk on the show about this. I want to definitely mention on the topic of bullying, many of you listening probably have also shared with my guest Robert and myself bullying in your past. I have to say for myself, I went into grade 7 at the ripe age of 10 years old, which unfortunately made me an easy target for almost daily beatings ups. I don't know how you even say that, but bullying basically on a daily basis. It has a profound effect on your life, and it's certainly something I never forgot. And my guest today, Robert, has also had some really rough bullying moments in his life, and it's really impacted him. I want to welcome Robert back to Therapy Thursdays and thank him so much for being here. Welcome back, Robert.
Thank you, Sandra.
Robert, this is a topic that means a lot to you. Is that right?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Okay. So before we get into your experiences being bullied, and I do want to get into that, I want to chat a little bit about the dance between a victim and a perpetrator. Now, we've talked about this before, so I think you're familiar with it, but every victim needs a perpetrator. Mm-hmm. How do you understand that, Rob, having had these conversations?
Well, I understand that as, you know, in my life, when you have the role of a victim and it becomes a comfortable role, you start to make people around you perpetrators so you could stay a victim. So every victim, as I heard from you, every victim needs a perpetrator. So if you want to stay a victim, you need a perpetrator.
Well said. My God, you've learned this well.
I did. Thank
you. You really did. So Rob's right is that it's a little bit of a shocking statement, and I think we have to take a moment and take that in, that every victim, that's something I say often, needs a perpetrator. So that means, now we have to clarify that we're not talking about children here, okay? We are talking about adults, okay? So if I'm a victim personality type, and I've been victimized in my life, what you were saying, and you were quoting back some of the things that we've talked about, is that I need to attract into my life somebody who perpetrates me in order to keep saying I'm a victim.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So when you first heard about this from me, we used to talk about this a lot. How did it sound to you? Because a lot of people listening are probably like, wow.
I mean, it actually at first didn't make sense to me because I'm thinking I don't want to be a victim. That doesn't make sense. I don't want people to be my perpetrators. But what I did notice is I would tend to, I don't want to know if the word villainize is the right word, but I would villainize people in my life, which would conveniently help me feel sorry for myself, justify things I've done, and help me remain in a victim position. And I think I was so used to being the victim that it was comfortable for me, and people around me started becoming perpetrators when I needed them to be.
That's so honest. That's so honest and true. And there's no question that so you talked about a little bit about one of the payoffs of being a victim is you got to feel sorry for yourself.
Yes. So Sandra, my question to you would be, you know, do people who've been bullied tend to as a child in their life when they get older, do they tend to want to stay as a victim?
Well, that's such a brilliant question. So the truth is, being bullied or anything bad happening to you in your childhood, if you don't work through it, I tend to say things like, you have to be a victim not to be a victim. So people get very confused when I say that. So let me clarify. If you've been victimized like you were as a child and like I was as a child, if you don't work through that, which what we're going to do today, thanks to you being so courageous, is if you don't work through it, you're going to keep calling it into your life over and over again because we just repeat our circumstances over and over again. So we have to actually go through the emotions of what it felt like to be victimized so that we don't keep playing it out over and over and over again. Otherwise, yes, we know. You know what it feels like to be a victim, right?
Yes, I do.
And I know what it feels like to be a victim. So that could be my normal.
Yes.
It could become my normal.
Yeah,
it could become my normal.
Crazy, yeah.
So on that note, such a great question, but let's take a moment and find out what did happen to you in your childhood where you referred to that you were victimized. Tell me about that.
Well, I was never like the athletic type, so I wouldn't get picked to be on sports teams. And I was like very shy and very insecure. So people, pick up on those type of attributes. They pick up on the fact that you don't feel good about yourself, that you have a face full of pimples, you have buck teeth, and you're insecure and you're not, what would we call like the norm, like you're not great in sports and you're not on the basketball team. So it's kind of like you're singled out, and there are bullies out there, that's a fact, and they do like to prey on the weak. So I was like, then I had to sit. I remember just during lunchtime, not having anyone to sit with. It was not fun. And,
was there a particular experience that happened where you felt you were bullied per se?
Yes, there was. And it was actually, surprisingly enough, one of my really big bullying incidences happened in my 20s, like with that one very significant bullying incident in which I felt very bullied by a person I trusted, which is always like the worst, I think. When you're bullied by strangers, it's one thing, but when you're bullied by someone who you feel you could trust is another. And this particular person, had me go in the car with them when they're with their sibling, and they were tormenting me, Sandra, basically.
They were tormenting you by saying mean things to you?
Yes, very derogatory things to me.
Okay, so this is going to be very relevant when we come back from the break, because it's actually one of those people in the car that you later faced.
Yes.
Where you perhaps became a bully, which is our twister of today's show, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be right back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reish.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reish, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
A fresh look at today's health. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
We're back with the very controversial and interesting topic of victims and bullies. You know, we tend to feel that victims are, we feel sorry for victims, we feel angry at bullies. And today's show is a little bit about how there's a dance that goes on between victims and bullies, and it's an interesting one. So we left off with Robert's story. We're going to put that on a little pause for a moment, and we're going to come back and find out what he did. Or we're going to get to that in a moment. But I want to talk about two things first. First of all, as always, I want to remind our listeners, if you are in Montreal and you'd like to take some time for yourself, there is a wonderful place called Spa Munari. It is here in the West Island of Montreal where you can go get a massage, a facial, facial, all sorts of wonderful treatments. Rob's been there. I've been there. It's a great place. As a matter of fact, we have an upcoming show, I think it's next week, on self-care. And I want you to be aware of the fact that as a Straight Talk listener, if you call them at 514-695-5040, again, 514-695-5040, and you simply say, I am a Straight Talk listener, you will get 15% off any of their services. So you don't want to miss out on that. Again, 514-695-5040. So, Rob, where we were at is you were actually said something really important, and it's very relevant. The story you're telling, you're in your 20s. And I think it's relevant here is who does the perpetrator seek to victimize? Is it possible there's an unconscious agreement between them? And I'm going to suggest to you, yes. I said to you before, you need to be a victim to not be a victim. And what I meant by that is you have to acknowledge the things that have hurt. Like when you were a child, you talk about the weak and the powerless. Children don't have power yet. So children can be easily victimized. Unfortunately, it's one of the things that breaks my heart the most in society. So if a child is victimized, you brought up the point that they can start to identify with that role. They've even studied that as when you're an adult and you're walking down the street at night, criminals will choose someone who looks, feeble and who's looking down and doesn't look like they can assert themselves. So I submit the possibility that not only is it possible that if you have identified with the role of the victim that you will stay in that role, but that actually there's a weird unconscious dance between the perpetrator and the victim. So actually, that would mean that possibly if I or you fall into the victim role, we might be inviting perpetrators into our life in order to reinforce my victimization.
Oh my goodness, so I have to ask you then, because I'm listening to you, I'm getting a little bit nervous. Can you get out of the victim role?
Oh yeah, you can get out of the victim role.
Okay.
But do you see the elements? And we want to make sure it's clear of how if you stay in the role, you must invite a perpetrator into your life.
Absolutely, that makes total sense.
Okay, so children, unwittingly can become victims, but perpetrators do choose their victims carefully. So if you find yourself being victimized time and time again, you might be unconsciously creating it. So the first thing, such a good question on your part, the first thing you have to do is become conscious. Do you find yourself in the victim role often? So we're asking our listeners, and I'm asking you, and before this incident happened, we've had this talk, and did you find yourself in the victim role a lot?
Absolutely. Okay. Like even now, I still find myself in the victim role a lot. And I also have found, this is maybe a little bit off of me, but even when we did the retreat, I would find people, like between the couples, I saw the dance between victim and perpetrator within the couple.
Oh yes, it's true. When we're at the couple retreat, when you're fighting in a couple, sometimes you want to make your partner into a perpetrator. But when you want to make your partner into a perpetrator, what are you?
You're a victim.
Right. So what I teach at the couple retreats is you have to it has to become a team sport. So yes, I guess you saw the couple start to switch that dance.
I did, and it was very interesting because some people seemed very comfortable in the role of victim and very comfortable making their partner seem like they were the perpetrator, the villain. And I saw what I found very interesting is that, now it's true. Now I'm thinking about how you can get out of the role of victim, is that I did see within the couples that they would get out of the role of the victim, and that's when they start to have a healthy relationship with each other.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to be teaching that again when we go to Mexico?
Yes, I definitely am. I think it's very important. That's why I'm so grateful to you coming on the show to talk about this. I think it's very important in couples as well as in individuals for us to be careful about falling into a victim role. Now, the antidote to victimization, by the way, is choice. Don't we all have choice as adults? We're not children. We have choice. So when you're in a relationship with someone, and that's why it's relevant to the couple retreats, is when you're in a relationship, and that's one of the reasons I do the retreats, because it takes time to learn that, is that you can't be victimized in your couple unless you're choosing to stay there or choosing to tolerate behavior that's not okay. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And I'm thinking, I don't think anybody out there wants to be in a victim-perpetrator romantic relationship.
It's not that sexy.
It doesn't sound very sexy to me. So the next retreat in Mexico, this is what's going to be addressed as part of
It's
it.
going to be part of it. We're going to get into attachment as well. Since
Okay.
you're asking, we're going to get into closeness, how to get couples closer. You're coming.
Yes, I'm excited about that.
It's going to be great. But I think that for people listening, it really, I mean, hopefully you can join us at one of our retreats. But if not, it's really important to understand that as adults, we have choice. And so it is a dance. So you asked before, is it possible to get out of the victim role? Absolutely. But you've got to take responsibility for your own role in a dance of victim perpetrator. So if someone's exploiting me, Robert, okay, and I continue to allow them to exploit me, don't I have some responsibility?
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
So when you find yourself in situations where you feel victimized, I guess the first question we want to get out there for people to think about is, what's your role in it? What's your role in it?
That does make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
We always have a role?
So we have to look at our stuff, we have to basically look at, okay, so I'm allowing this person to do this over and over again. Like, what part am I contributing to this?
Yes. So either I'm not putting a boundary down, or I'm building a story, a case. This happens a lot. I'm building a case against the person. They may not even be doing anything to me, but I need to be a victim. So I need to build a story to fit with my drama.
Could you give me an example?
So, if I decide that, you're a friend of mine and I decide that I'm generally a victim-y type, let's say. And so, I don't know, we go out for dinner and you didn't ask me about my trip this week. And so I have to build a story, a narcissistic story that shows how inconsiderate and selfish you are. And it proves without a shadow of a doubt that you don't care about me. Now, the problem with that story is, even if maybe it would be nice if you asked me about my trip, please do. Okay. But there's a lot of reasons you might not have asked, but the victim is not interested in the reasons.
Interesting.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. You had the situation in your 20s where you're sitting in a car and people said some very derogatory things to you,
So
you said.
you know what? I feel like I know your Straight Talk listeners already. So the things that were said were basically ways that made me feel as though I was mentally incapacitated or like not mentally challenged. And they were like derogatory in terms of like, oh, are you sure you could... are you sure you can do this? Are you sure you can go there? Are you sure that you know what you're doing? And the way they would talk down to me. So basically, they made me feel like I was like a 4-year-old, but I'm in my 20s. So I took offense.
Of course. Now, you harbored this story for a long time. You never forgot the story.
Never.
And it bothered you enormously, to the point that I know when you told me the story, you remember the name of your perpetrators, and you had a lot of anger and rage about it.
Yes.
Now, as fate would have it,
yes,
you ran into the person who was mean to you in the car.
Yeah.
Robert, what did you do?
So the funny part is it was 10 years, I think maybe like 8 or 10 years ago. So I was upset about it, but I didn't realize until I ran into the person that I saw red. Okay, like it was fresh.
Red. So let's walk us through the scene. Where were you?
So I was at a grocery store. I was at a grocery store, and the person actually said hi to me.
The person who bullied you
said
hello to you.
Hello to me. And at first, I didn't associate right away that it was the person who bullied me because it's been so long and I haven't seen them since the incident. And then when they said hi to me, I said hi back. And then I was like, wait a minute, that is not okay. That is not okay. I figured out who it was, and me saying hi to them back was like, no. You don't get a hello back from me.
So what happened inside of you?
I saw red, like literally like my heart starts to like pound, and I literally I just saw like bully, like perpetrator, alert. So
when you went into alert is we could probably, since it's Therapy Thursday, we could probably say that you went fully into victim at that moment.
Oh my goodness. Fully, I'm the victim and you are like the worst person in the world. You're evil.
And therefore you have it coming, whatever is going to happen next.
Whatever's going to happen next, you asked for it.
Okay.
Long time coming.
So what'd you do? This is unbelievable.
Oh my goodness. But keeping the show G-rated family friendly, I may have said some words that were not very nice and very appropriate, and they were in the heat of the moment.
They
And
were loud.
They were loud, and there were things that I've known about this person that I used against them.
Like private things?
Private things that I used in a very aggressive way to embarrass them, to make them publicly. This was in a public grocery store, in a way that would make them feel as embarrassed and uncomfortable as they made me feel. And I was at the point, I couldn't stop. I was like loving it. I was like, you beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
You've done this. You know, you're a beep, beep.
It was like revenge.
I loved it.
You loved it in the moment.
I loved it in the moment.
In the moment.
Yes, I did.
So while it was happening, when, since it's Therapy Thursday again, so now it's the tables are turned and you get to be the perpetrator and you get to victimize and humiliate them for the fact that they humiliated you.
Yes.
And I think you're very honest and real to admit that it felt liberating at the moment.
At the moment, it felt like $1 million, and after, not so much.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break and come back. Don't go away, because let's find out how Robert felt afterwards, because we always discuss this. Is revenge sweet? And what about this? Think about this on the short break. Was it okay, in your view? And I bet that a lot of people have different opinions. Was it okay? Did this person have it coming? One could argue, yes, this person was very mean to Robert, and he suffered and thought about it for 8 to 10 years. Did he have a right to publicly humiliate that person? You could argue, yes, they were a bully. Why not? Or is the answer to this question that Robert now had gone into the exact same role as the other person, and do 2 wrongs make a right? I submit to you that the answer is, we'll be right back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reich. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reich, on her famous couple retreats, and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Your life, your health, your network. This is Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reich.
Interesting topic today, bullies and victims. If you're listening to the show, don't forget, if you want to call in, we got prizes. I know people sometimes are shy to call in, but if you are listening and you wouldn't mind a nice prize, we're always interested in having people join us in the conversation. So we left off, and I want to review the scene here. So Robert, in his early 20s, is, and many of you can relate to this, is bullied. He's in a car. Some derogatory statements are made to him, and he felt very humiliated. And he's sitting in the car. He's very uncomfortable, very upset, and he finds himself 10 years later in a grocery store, and someone walks up to him and says hello. And he realizes right after he says hello that that person is the person who bullied him in the car. Now, before I go further, again, if you want to call in, I'll just review the number. It's 1-866. Sorry, I can't seem to do that today. 1-866-472-5792. I really have been traveling a lot. Anyway, so he's in the grocery store. He realizes that the person talking to him was his bully, and he suddenly goes into a rage and starts to yell at the person and publicly humiliate the person, shouting out very private items about this person. He's an adult, the person's an adult, and at first he feels great. I asked you guys to think about on the break, is this okay? And I know many of you might think and are listening saying, darn sure, he has every right. He was bullied. She had it coming. So let's check in with Robert, and I will definitely be giving my opinion on this as your therapist here today on Therapy Thursday. How did you feel when you got to your car? You felt great telling her off at the store. How'd you feel next?
So I think the next emotion I felt was guilt. Okay, so I felt kind of guilty, like, but I felt guilty. I'm like, oh my God, that wasn't the best way to handle it. So what I tried to do was I went into my story to justify it, right? Because I don't really want to feel bad about myself. And after all, I am the victim. So I justified it. Well, exactly what you were saying before the break, the way she treated me, she deserved it. She had it coming. She could talk that way to me, then I could talk that way to her. If she could embarrass me, I could embarrass her. So I was justifying it. And I was doing that all day, actually. I was telling people the story that were close to me. And I was saying it in such a way that it justified why I would act that way. So I would tell the story in a way that would be
this is important.
Sympathetic towards me.
Oh, that's very important because, okay, let me pause you on that because I love that you're admitting that. This is why I like you on Therapy Thursdays, is that you're what do they call that in legal terms? You always watch the Judge Judy show. You're
defending?
No, you're trying to, I can't think of the word, I'm sorry, but you're trying to influence your listeners. Okay, you're trying to influence people for them to say, you were right, you should have done it. That's another mistake the victims do, so I want to pause you on, is victims need to justify their behavior, so they tell the story in a leading way. That's what they call it, leading the witness.
Leading the witness.
They tell the story in a leading way so that for sure other people are going to go, you're right, how could they do that? So you're telling me you went back to your people and you told the story in a leading way that people would say you were 100% right.
I get you, I hear you, I understand why you would have lost it, I would have lost it too.
Of course.
But that evening, I was coming back from a conference I was doing, and it was a really great conference. It went really well, I should be really, really happy. It was the same day this happened. And I'm in my car, and I start to cry.
Wow.
Seriously crying. I had to stop my car. I was crying and just sitting and crying.
What did you feel?
I felt, oh my God, I felt guilt, shame, dirty. I felt like awful that I carried myself that way. And then I also felt really sad that after all these years, I still had that wound. That allowed me, obviously I didn't address that wound, that allowed me to and permitted me to act in such a disrespectful manner to myself. I felt it was disrespectful to me to carry myself that way. And I did feel bad for the way I spoke to that girl. I did. I felt very guilty. And I didn't understand, these emotions and all of it. So who do I turn to? I see Sandra the next day, and I said, and I was very embarrassed by the situation. I said, Sandra, something happened, and I'm very embarrassed by it, but I would like your input. And I went to Sandra because I do still believe that you will not you will not be fooled or led by the way I tell the story. You want the facts, you want to hear the facts, and you'll give it to me straight.
Straight talk.
Straight talk. I knew you would, which you did. So I remember you saying to me, like, Rob, like, first and foremost, that is not the way to handle that situation. And I asked you why. And why, Sandra?
Okay, so, one of the things I am a big believer in, Rob, is the smoky room. And so smoky rooms, you go into a smoky room, you get cancer. Okay, so the bully lives in a smoky room. So your perpetrator lived in a smoky room. We don't really know what her story is now. When you yelled at her and told her off, I believe that you went into the smoky room. And he's nodding. You can't see us.
Yes.
And you felt sick afterwards because smoky rooms make us sick.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who are listening and saying, well, he had every right, that may be true. Okay, that in theory, she was mean to you. So it's very tempting to go into the dirt.
Yeah.
But another Sandraism is if you go into the dirt, all that happens is you get dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were crying in the car, it sounded to me very much like you felt dirty. It didn't feel clean.
I felt very dirty, actually, and I felt very, I felt a double disrespect. I felt disrespectful to myself, and I felt disrespectful to the person, and I knew that's not who I wanted to be. I knew that I had switched the roles. I knew at that moment it hit me that, wow, like technically, yes, she was originally the one that bullied me, but now I am no better than her. And that didn't sit well with me. That's not the kind of person I want to be.
That's wonderful. So for people listening, you can really, you're so, so nice of you to come on and talk about this, is revenge may not be as sweet as we think. It's short-lived at best.
I actually think it actually left me, and to play with the revenge is sweet, I actually think it left me with a very sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I was very, very sad at how I acted. At the moment, what I found so fascinating, at the moment, I felt so justified. I felt so right. I felt so entitled that this is, deserved by this person. And it was a long time coming. And now it's my way of getting what I felt was owed to me, which is either an apology or revenge.
Right.
I didn't get the apology, so I went for the revenge.
Right, and that's definitely not going to get the apology. So it is in our human nature, like since biblical times, we hear stories like this. I mean that, an eye for an eye. Two rights, the end justifies the means. Two rights do make a wrong, or whatever. All these different things, because there is a temptation. If you did me wrong, it is our human nature. You hit me. We see it in children. You hit me, I hit you back. Yes. Okay. Part of why I do the show and the clinic and the couple retreats and any of this is for something called evolvement. So what is evolvement? Our base nature says if you hit me, I hit you back. But as humans, we have the capacity, and it's quite exciting, and it was exciting to see what happened to you next, which is coming up. We have the capacity to rise above our basic instincts. We don't have to hit back. We don't have to go into a smoking room. Think about this in worldwide proportions. Think about the Middle East. Think about all the fighting in the world. It starts like a situation like this situation. Yes, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. Okay? And where is it leading our world right now? I mean, think about it. Think about American politics. Think about what's going on in the world. So yes, it's understandable what you felt. It's understandable the temptation is there, but I guess maybe because you're working on your journey of evolvement. Yes. You didn't feel good about yourself, and that's the other thing is we don't feel good about ourselves when we go into the dirt.
No, we don't.
No.
And you actually helped me, I remember, because I was like, well, I did a wrong, so how do I right this wrong? And you gave me some really good advice, and you said, you know what, why don't you write her on Facebook? And this is actually very interesting. You asked me to write her, and we wrote
we wrote some words together.
Yes, we wrote some words. You really helped me word it properly because mine was really aggressive. I was still writing it aggressive.
Well, you still wanted to show her the error of her ways.
Yes.
Which is not an apology.
No.
And I asked you to own your part of your behavior.
Yes.
This is very interesting, this part of the story.
So I sent her this email. And the funny part, the interesting part is that she did write me back. She accepted my apology, and she did not remember what she did.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
That hurt me so badly.
So I want to go through this a little bit. So what we did is, and really to your credit, because you sent it, I helped you write it, but you sent it, is you took ownership of your behavior and said that you had a flashback and you were very triggered. Mm-hmm. And however, it doesn't justify what you did, and you regret it, and you're sorry, and you hope she can forgive you, which, I'm glad I was there to coach you through that, because that's not easy to do, but I'm extremely proud of you that you were able to, eat some crow, as we say.
Yeah.
Because that's not easy to say to someone who's hurt you in life, but that, people, really is what evolvement looks like. It's like rising above. And you pushed send, and it said, I made you take out any lines that said, but you did this to me. Yeah. I made you take those out, and just like, I shouldn't have done it. I'm sorry. I can't even justify it. There's nothing about it was the right. It's just, I had a bad memory, and this is what happened. And yes, your email was so graceful that she wrote back and said, she said, you're a big person to have written this.
Yes, she did.
Which, how did that feel, by the way?
That felt great. That really did. That felt really great.
And fascinatingly, and it was a test, because she said, I don't remember the incident that you're referring to. What are you talking about? Which, again, you were tempted to then go in the dirt.
In detail, tempted to write it.
And to go into the dirt.
Yes.
And show her what she's done.
Yeah.
And we had to work through that too. And I think that you're doing a service for many people now, because the thing is that our human nature is not that we can't hear things if they're too rough. So you write an email to someone, say, you did this, and this to me. The person just shuts down and protects themselves and makes you into the perpetrator. That's the dance again. However, if you can do it in a graceful way, it gives the person pause to think about their behavior, because you behaved in such an exemplary way.
Yes.
She had no choice but to wonder about her own behavior. And I did have the impression from her email that she was wondering about what she could have done that made you feel so bad.
Yeah, which I found very fascinating, because I'm holding this grudge, let's just say, for like 8-10 years, and this girl doesn't even know what she's done. And it kind of makes me think, like, and I want to ask you this, Sandra, because we hear this all the time, these words. I think it's 3 words. Let me just say, yes, let it go. 3 words, let it go. We hear those 3 words a lot, like, okay, you've been bullied, let it go. Sandra, how do you let it go? It sounds easier said than done.
Yeah, well, it is easier said than done. That is true, Rob. So I'm going to ask you and everybody else to hold on a minute. Don't go away. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with Straight Talk with Sandra Riche, and we'll talk about those 3 magical words, let it go. Okay. We'll be right back.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Riche. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Riche, on her famous couple retreats, and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Your life, your health, your network. This is Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
So we're back with this very serious topic today, and it is really quite serious because bullying goes on all the time. And this one isn't on a show about your child being bullied. It's really about, as you become an adult, how it plays out in your life and how long do you hold on to it for. So Robert, you asked before the break, how do you let it go? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I think that we always have to remember that forgiveness is never about the other person. It's for you. So your bully, you're not okay with what she did. It was not okay.
No.
So I am not in the business of telling people that it was okay that people bullied them. Okay. But if I ask you, how could have you acted like that in that store? Like, what came over you? How could you act like that? What would you tell me?
Wow. I would tell you anger and, the inner victim came out.
Okay, and I know you to be a really kind person.
Yeah.
And yet you have this bloodstain story in your life. So if you could slip like that, surely we can understand how other people slip like that. And that's part of the letting it go. Is as humans, we do sometimes things that are really not great, and we're not proud of. And I don't condone bullying at all. But you have to wonder that if kids or adults become bullies, were they not bullied themselves? Much like what happened just now with you. Mm-hmm. You were bullied, and all of a sudden in that store, you became the bully.
Oh, yes. For sure.
Which one feels better, by the way, the bully or the victim? Tough question.
God. I'm going to say, as having both roles, I'm going to say they both feel quite rotten.
Okay.
They both do.
So we want to get away from the dance. We don't want to be a bully and we don't want to be a victim.
No.
Okay?
No.
We don't want to do that. But we can see how victims fall into victimization, and we can see how bullies find themselves in rage and in fear going back to the bully. Right. You can see how that could happen because it happened to you. So Robert, tell me, why did you want to come on the show and talk about this?
No, the reason I want to talk about this is that I really don't think it's what anybody wants to do, is to get into the dirt. I don't think anybody wants to become a bully. I don't think anyone wants to be a victim, but I definitely don't think that the way to handle being a victim or being bullied is to become a bully. And I want people to evolve and grow and learn. And I had the privilege to have someone like you to tell me, this is a better way to handle it. This is a cleaner way to handle it. This is a non-smoky way to handle it. And, you always say if you go into a smoky room, you get cancer. If you go into the dirt, you get dirty.
Yes.
So my reason for being on this show is to tell everybody that, you know what? Stay out of a smoky room. Stay out of a mud pile. Stay clean. Stay true to yourself. Live your best life. Reach for the stars. And it might be hard to do when you're confronted with a bully the way I was, to not lose it. But I will tell you, it feels so much better to be clean than to be dirty.
So on that note, Rob, when you sent that email and she asked about what was the incident, and I don't remember what we responded to that, but we basically didn't get into a lot of details. And we gave her, in a way, we didn't rehash it. How did that feel to you? Because you asked about letting go. That to me is letting go. How did that feel?
And before you even said that, I was going to say that felt like letting go.
Yes.
That did feel like letting go.
And did that feel like freedom?
It absolutely feels like freedom, because when I sent that email, and even though it wasn't that Facebook message, and even though it wasn't in detail, and I sent it, I felt like it was over. I felt free.
Oh,
I
felt
felt
free.
free. And I have no anger towards this person anymore. I don't know if they're listening to the show, but I don't have any anger. And it's not because they ever apologized to me. I want to be clear to all your viewers. I'm going to be honest.
Listeners, yes.
All the listeners, and people who watch us on Facebook, usually.
It's true. And we should say that. We're doing a post-show discussion on Facebook today.
We are doing a post-show discussion. Yeah. I do want to say I did not get an apology from this person when I did tell them I was hurt, and I did tell them a little bit about what happened. But you know what? I didn't need the apology. I was able to let it go because I let it go. I didn't need the other person to free me. I freed myself.
So, wow, I love that. So you freed yourself.
I did.
With empowerment.
Yes.
With not getting into the dirt. So the victim bully dance, the whole point of the show, and why I wanted to do it with you, is because victims do become bullies. Okay, because bullies were often victimized. And if we don't stop the dance at some point, it's just going to keep going. You're just going to get victimized over and over again or become a bully. And we don't need more bullies in the world, and we don't need more victims in the world either. So the empowerment came from you took your power when you wrote that email. You took your power back, okay? Because you didn't look pathetic and you didn't look mean.
No, I took my power back, and I did it cleanly. I thought I took my power back at the grocery store, but in reality, what I took was my freedom. I did not take my power. I took everything it was not good. I got dirty, I got smoky, I got in the dirt, and now I took my power back. Now I did things cleanly, non-smoky, smoke-free zone, and now I feel great. And I will never, ever, ever carry myself the way I did that day, because I now know better. And that's what I hope everybody on this show right now learns, is that there are better ways to get closure. There are better ways than to become a bully. Trust me, I was sitting in a car crying my eyes out. There are better ways.
Well said. And you know, I'm not going to lie to you. For my bullies, I haven't run into them. But I have had over the years many times fantasies. I'm not proud, but it's true. Fantasies of, as you just had, like a revenge moment. But I also know that what you say is so true, and I know I wouldn't do it, because I know that just actually puts me on the same level of what happened to me, and that how does the world ever evolve? And you know, the Straight Talk listeners and you and me, the goal is to try to live our very best life. That's what this show is all about. And I'm really proud of you, and I want to say that publicly. I'm really proud of you. You had a really dark moment there. I'm very flattered that you told me about it, and you allowed at that time for us to do a little therapy on you, and now you've allowed us to do it publicly on Therapy Thursday. It's a really, really great gift that you're giving to other people who could find themselves in this situation.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you, Sandra, for using your show as a platform for therapy to help people who may be going through a very similar dilemma, or it might happen to them and they don't know how to react. Then maybe they'll think twice before getting into the dirt.
Yeah, well said. So we're starting to get to the end of Straight Talk today, but I do want to mention something that's on my mind very importantly that's coming up that I'm really excited about. So I want our Straight Talk listeners to hear about it. So I'm going to be speaking at a really fabulous charity event here in Montreal, and it's on October 23rd, a Sunday, and it's to raise money for lymphoma. And I do think that's a very important cause. Talk about empowering the world. That's an important cause. Yes. And I want to mention to listeners that Robert will be there.
I'm excited.
So you can come say hi to Robert, Therapy Thursday, Robert.
Therapy Thursday.
And I'll be there. I'm actually a keynote speaker there. I'm going to be speaking about living a purposeful life. You've heard that talk before.
It's a wonderful talk.
Yep. And I really want to beg, really literally almost beg, well, beg's not quite the word, encourage people to come support this cause and come say hi to us. It is an important cause. Lymphoma is a serious, serious disease, and if we can help raise money, I'm very happy to be a part of it. I'm getting up early in the morning that day. Most of you who know me, I'm not a morning person. I will be there. So if you want to find out more about this fabulous event, and there's going to be all sorts of celebrities there and yoga and all sorts of amazing things, like you get prizes and stuff. A lot of fun, a lot of fun. So go to the website, www.takeittothematmontreal.ca. Again, that's www.takeittothematmontreal.ca. There's going to be a lot of local celebrities, yoga, yours truly speaking, lots of fun, and of course helping a very important cause. If you have questions about it and you want to find out more, please call us about that or anything else, about the clinic, about the retreats, anything, at 514-777-4530 to find out more about takeittothematmontreal.ca, fabulous event coming up on October 23rd. So that's all the time we have today. Before we sign off, I'd like to thank Robert. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you again for having me, Sandra.
Wonderful as always. I'd like to again thank Spa Maneri for helping make this show possible. And most importantly, I'd like to thank our listeners from all over the world. It's amazing for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. And I'd like to invite you all to come back next week. If you're interested in our couple retreats, our women's retreats, therapy, coaching, or other media that was mentioned on the show or previous shows, check out www.helpforanxietydepression.com. Again, that's www.helpforanxietydepression.com. Also, don't forget to check out straighttalksandrareish.com/radio gifts to get free gifts from the show just for you. And join us on our Facebook page, Straight Talk Sandra Reish. Feel free to leave a question for me or any of my guests. And by the way, remember to like us while you're there. Know that you can hear this and any prior show as a podcast on my website, on the podcast app of your iPhone, on iTunes under Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Drop me a comment or a question anytime at info@helpforanxietydepression.com. If you're a professional and you're looking for continuing education or a speaker on anxiety, depression, emotional intelligence, compassion, fatigue, or living a purposeful life, remember, I'm your source for evidence-based practice and education on the web and sometimes in your city. So I'm Sandra Reish, and I promise I'll help you learn to live your best life again next Thursday, same time, same channel. In the meanwhile, this is Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Keep your eyes on the stars.
Thank you for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll tune in again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. Now, go live your best life.